행복이라는 것이 이제 상당히 행복이라고 느끼는 것은
The feeling of happiness is very subjective. The feeling of happiness is not objective, but it's subjective. It's how you feel about it. So the researchers in the Western countries spoke that happiness is something that how they feel about it. There's no scientific research or proof about it. And also happiness is something that you cannot acquire in this life. That's why they believe in God, and in the next life, or maybe not in the next life, or something that you can achieve after your death.
신을 믿고 아마 그 다음 생에 다음 생이 아니라 그냥 죽은 뒤에 어딘가 갈 것이다 이렇게 이제.
But how you feel about it is obviously how each of you feel about it. But due to this and that reason,
느끼는 것은 당연히 계기가
it's a reality that everyone feels different on the same topic called happiness. Some people feel happy because they earn some money.
사실 전부 다 다르게 느끼고 있는 것이 다 현실이에요.
Some people feel happiness because they live for a longer period of time, whereas others die sooner. Or some people feel happy because their kids don't cause so much trouble.
오래 살아서 다른 사람은 단명한데 나는 좀 오래 살아서 행복을 느낀다라든지 이제 또는 나는 뭐 자식이 말썽을 안 피워서 좀 행복하다라든지.
These things can change depending on how the person feels about it.
그래서
So it's not a happiness that comes uniformly to everyone. So it's not a happiness that is common to everyone. Some people feel unhappy because of their kids. And also there are cases when some people feel unhappy because of money. But in Buddhism, if you look at it,
어떤 사람은 돈 때문에 더 힘들어하는 일이 있기 때문에 그렇다 그 말이죠. 그래서 근데 이제 불교는
in Buddhism there is a happiness that can be common and uniform to everyone. That is the characteristics of happiness in Buddhism.
특징이 행복이라는 것이 모든 사람에게 똑같이 될 수 있는 행복이 있다.
And the way how to do that, or the way to acquire that,
똑같이 행복해질 수 있는 지복감을 느낄 수 있는
is very
행복이 있다.
It's very precise, just like a math formula. That is the center of this happiness in Buddhism.
이렇게 하다 보니 되고 저렇게 하다 보니 되는 게 아니라 수학의 공식처럼 이렇게 방법이 명확하게 있다. 그 얘기가 이제 불교 얘기 중심이에요. 그러니까 방법이 만약 과학을 하는데 또는 수학을 하는데
If you have a science experiments, if you have a science experiments and if you give them this condition and that condition, and through each condition, if it arrives to an answer 1, then you know that there is no certain way, or there is no specific way to solve the problem. But in Buddhism, there is only one way. So the method is very precise and very accurate. So the middle way to meditation, the book that we are going to do now,
그래서 지금부터 우리가 이제 하려고 하는
is part of the Ramrim, the Vipassana part of the Lamrim was not done very well. The translation wasn't very well. But in this book, the Vipassana part is done very well. So if you do this book and if you complete with the lumbrim, then
then
all the formulas for happiness is given.
보고서 이 내용을 마무리해서 보면 수행
So most of the happiness that we seek for every day,
수 있는 방법의 공식들이
and the most of things that we do every day to gain the happiness, is not the right way. Despite all of that, we are all in the trap of trying to achieve happiness every day. So if you are in that trap, no matter how hard you try,
그럼에도 불구하고 우리는 그 함정 속에 빠져 있다고.
you will lose the money no matter how hard you try to gain that money. And no matter how hard you try to stay healthy, you will eventually lose your healthiness and die.
돈은 사라지게 돼 있는 것이 모든 것의 원칙이에요. 그렇지 않은 예가 하나도
So
없다.
even those of you who say, "Oh, my happiness is not. I'm not seeking for this kind of happiness," or those who say that I don't try to live my life just in order to gain happiness, eventually do the same.
생사를 걸어놓고 살고 있단 말이야. 그럼 그것의
So if we don't change our attitude or our lifestyle, we cannot achieve true happiness. So there is no actual way to gain two rabbits at the same time.
태도를 바꾸지 않고서는 행복이라는 건 불가능하다. 그래서 이게 이제 그
You cannot gain true happiness looking for money, or you cannot gain true happiness if you're looking for power. This power and money is all vague, so they will eventually disappear. Despite all of that, we are under misunderstanding or misconception that we will be happy.
그럼에도 불구하고 우리는 계속 그렇게 하면서 행복해질 것이라고 착각하고 있고 자꾸 행복하려고 노력한다라고.
This is the part when we say we are not actually trying to gain happiness through our daily life, but we want to catch two rabbits at the same time. This is our contradiction. You know Dalai Lama's temple, right? So some people told me, like it's a palace, Dalai Lama's palace. So I feel like tears are swelling up my eyes because we call it palace, but it's very modest. But Dalai Lama said, if I can protect myself from the rain, it's fine.
찬바람 피할 정도 그 위의 것은 나에게 필요치 않다.
But although we don't call it a palace, we want a house that looks like a palace, and we want one, then we want two, we want three, and if the price of house increases, our blood pressure decreases, and if the price of the house decreases, then our blood pressure increases. And we are under misunderstanding that we will be happy eventually. So the main thing in this teaching, this is about the formula to gain happiness. Like if there is a field and if you plant a beans in it, then it will stay like a beans field. But if you do not take care of it, then this will become like a place that's full of only useless weeds. And also, if there is something like, if there is someone who takes other people's stuff, then we call him a robber.
여러분, 논과 밭을 갖다 아무리 변화시키려 그러더라도요.
And also those people
그냥 잡초밭이에요. 결국은 쑥대밭.
who used to be in power from olden times, they used to take away goods and belongings of the poor people. And for them, it was something obvious. They just took it without any feeling of guilt.
도둑놈이라 그러고 베푸는 일을 하면
And so some some of Buddha's disciples asked him, what is a real Brahmin? And the Buddha answered, the real Brahmin seems to be in the status. Is someone who is pure at heart, or someone who knows how to feel for others, or someone who does not harm others. That is a real Brahmin. Then he asked, then what is a human? A human is someone who does not harm or hurt other people just like animals or dogs, but knows what his faults are, what are wrong things of his. What are the wrong things of his? So, a person is someone who knows what his faults are and also does not repeat the same. So, we are now on the book written by Kamlashila. As far as I know, Kamlashila's speeches are those that Kamlashila is actually 120 years later than Shantideva. And he was a student in Naranta University, was very good at it. And also, he is a great scholar from Naranta University. And most of his works written most of the writings that he has done is specifically framed for Tibetan Buddhism. The Tibetan Buddhism at time was at this beginning, so there was a lot of chaos, and those who actually spread Buddhism in Tibetan were only those who did not spread the full Buddhism, but only some parts of it. So it wasn't really helpful. But Kamlashila prepared for this book, and through this book and others of his writings, Buddhism could spread all over Tibet. So from now on, we are going to study each line of this book and also study the conditions and the situations. And also for like Shantideva, in the way to Bodhisattva, he has also given 10 stages. And in Tibetan Buddhism, those 10 stages
그래서 이제 요 내용을 하나하나 이제 우리가 짚어가면서 어떻게 살아갈 것인가. 이 앞에 이제 수행 차제.
The 10 stages were actually spoken for the monks in the southern India as audience. But here, this book is also for the Tibetan monks. But the reason why the cause and effect is the first chapter of the 10 stages is that because Tibetans did know about the cause and effect at the time, and if so as the Koreans even now. We have heard about this word often, but we're not really sure due to what cause. We're not really sure what cause has led to this effect. And also, especially in Korean Buddhism, we're not really clear about the cause and effect, although we talk a lot about it. Although we talk a lot about it, we are not really clear about the cause and effect. If you know about the cause and effect, then you cannot really do prayers seeking for your happiness. You cannot do. If you know the cause and effect, then how can you pray for your happiness? That means you're not really aware of it. Although we keep talking about it, but in reality, we are not really able to classify, and nothing is really being studied on. So here,
실제에서는 실행이 전혀 안 되고 있다 그런 얘기예요.
those 10 things that Kamlashila talked about
열 가지 요 부분에
were the prescriptions that were required for Tibet at that time.
그때 상황에 꼭 필요한 처방전에 쓰였습니다.
Then the question that are those things really required for us at this present time?
이게 꼭 이런 것이 필요하냐?
I don't think there is so much difference between the condition of the Tibet at the time and Korea nowadays. We don't know the cause and effect.
그냥 마음만 잘 먹으면 되겠지.
And also the
그 마음이
study of heart.
어떻게 해서 일어나고
You
어떻게
ask
우리가
what are the
그걸
ways
바꿔 나갈
to
것인가
practice
모른다.
asceticism of your heart. Then they say, oh, you just have to think well, or you just have to have a right mind.
자비심이라는 것도 우리나라에서는 자비심이 어떻게 변질되어 있느냐면 그저
You don't know what causes the heart to change. You don't know what causes the heart to feel. You don't know the details of it.
사랑 여러분이 이를테면
Even the
자녀들에게
thing called compassion.
베푸는
The thing
것을
called compassion has been changed a lot in Korea.
무조건적인 정을 갖다 부모의 정이라고 생각한다면 그건 큰 오산이에요.
How it's been changed?
부모가 정을
Compassion
베푸는
is
것은
something,
그게는
it's a feeling that does not have a wisdom.
이성적인 날카로운
It's
있어서
unconditional
그
love.
아이가 잘못되고 심성이
For
잘못
example,
길러지는 부분에 대해서 명확하게
your
사유해서 알고 그걸
Your
고칠 수
affection
있고
to your kids,
고칠 수 있음에
unconditional
고칠 때
affection. If you think that's a compassion, then that's a big
사랑이라는
mistake.
것으로서 유인해내서 고칠 수 있는 이런 마음이 있지 않고서는 사실
The affection or the feelings that you give to your kids, there should be a rational thought behind it. And if there is any mistake in it, then you should know how to fix it.
거기에다 호수에 물을 갖다 계속하면 떼어나 보시오.
If there is no such feelings, then you cannot say that your parent, as a parent, you are giving them affection. If you just give them unconditional love, it's almost like
충동이라는 것이 어떤 것인지.
plant a vegetable in the farm and connect hose to the farm and give them water whole time. It won't take 2 to 4 days for the vegetable to rot. And nowadays, kids are rotten just the way the vegetables did. So what is the compassion? What is the equanimity? And even on the equanimity, we have very less understanding about it. If someone is good to you, then he or she looks very adorable. And if the person is not good to you, then he is the worst person in the world. So if I is very strong, then you cannot treat others with equanimity. That is our reality. So we have to practice. So even suffering, we're not really aware what is suffering and what are the things that we have to do to get out of suffering. So we practice things that will put us to suffering all the more, and we suffer. If an animal is being trapped, if he tries to run away, the harder he tries, his legs will break. There are more chances of suffering. So if we plant a seed of suffering and if we try to run away from it, then the suffering gets stronger. You drink, you get sober. Just because you got sober, you feel harder. So if you drink again, and if you get sober, if you drink again, if you get sober, if you repeat, that's actually an action to get sober from the drinks, but they will lead to more suffering. So if I tell you to quit drinking, that you take me like enemy and you want to fight, and you tell me you don't even understand that, and then your livers totally fail and you die.
명확히 알아차리는 것이 한 말이에요.
So
지관을
you don't know what
우리는 잘
suffering
몰라.
is. You don't know what is
참선이라는
a
소리를
true
많이
wisdom.
들어봐도 실제 잘 모르. 그 안에 이 내용이
Wisdom, in other words,
우리의
is
심성과 우리의 말과 우리의 행동들을 갖다 교정시키고
a knowledge that I is absent and you know about the condition and the situation precisely.
그래서 여러분이 뭘 안다 자꾸 그냥 강의 듣고서 뭘
It's
아는 것
knowing
정도로 그냥
precisely.
지나라고 생각하지 말고 요거 그냥 공부를 한다고 생각.
We don't know the vipassana.
통해서 내가 마음을
We only
어떻게
heard meditation.
바꾸어 나갈 것인가
So whatever contents
깊이
inside,
사유하고 생각하는 것이어야 돼요. 그래서 이건 이제 한번 6, 7개월 걸릴지 한 1년
are the ways
걸릴지
that can fix our behavior, our
아니 이
thoughts.
내용을 갖다가 여러분이 지금
The contents are very
그
serious.
살아가는 그 살아가면서 일으키는 마음과
So don't just try to walk
하는
away
말과 또 살아가면서 하는
after reading
행동들에
this
전부 다
book.
적용을 시켜야 돼요.
And that you studied,
그렇게 이제
but you should know
하지 않으면
how you can practice
이건
the
상당히
teaching
그
and how
무용지물이
they stay
돼 있어요.
in your
이건 방법에
mind
관한 것들이니까.
even after the teaching.
이
I don't know how
방법은
long it's going to
여러
take,
가지가
whether
있는 것이
6
아니고
months
사실은
or 1
여러
year.
가지가 있는 듯
but-
여러 사람들이 얘기 좀 하지만은 여러 가지가 있는 것이 아니고 사실은 공식은 한 가지입니다.
The speeches that you make throughout your life and the behaviors that you do in your daily life, you should put all of them into, you should put all the teachings into your everyday life, or else this will just be wasted. There are not so many different ways, there are not many various ways, but there's just one formula. The way to empty yourself from agony of life. That's the only way, but we talk as if there are so many different ways.
그렇게 하듯이 우리가 번뇌가 다해서 고통이 사라질 수 있는 그
Some people claim that there are so many different ways, but there is just one way. And some people, they
그렇게 하면 자연스럽게
stick on to the wrong thing, and they just
아시겠죠?
practice the wrong thing. But you know, in science or in math, there's just one way to solve a problem. Just stick to it.
책은 다 받으셨죠? 책을 누가 보시려 했는가? 누가 했는가?
Our purpose is to practice
청정신 보살이 했어? 그 잘했다.
the way to empty ourselves from agony. If you do that, then we can achieve what we want. You understand?
잘했다.
So with that intention, we are going to study from now on. So everyone, you have books, right? So did someone donate the book? Who did that? 정정심? Very good. Let me see.
다른 사람 눈을 열어주는데 그 앞에 그 마중물 역할을 해준 거 아니에요?
Let me see. I want to see it too. I said I want to see. Am I on the floor or are you looking at the floor?
이게 나중에 이런 자량 공덕을 쌓아놓으면 여러분이 이를테면
If you donate a book that has a good speech about other saints, then it's almost like you're opening the door for some guest, good guest. It's a very good deed, and this kind of good virtues, like for example, if I keep donating Buddha statues, then I won't be born in an area where there is absence of Buddhist laws. And even if you come and live in Yasu, if you buy a house, then you don't usually happen to buy a house under house of superstition or like those kind of bad things will not happen to you. With the virtue of donating
뭐가 자꾸
Buddha's teaches,
공부하려고
this
그러면
will
자꾸
provide you a reason
가르쳐줄
or cause
그
to
가르침을
come
이
closer
밥에 적어놓은
or to stay
공식이
close to
책이
the
있고
Buddhist
경쟁이 있고
laws.
그걸 가르쳐줄 사람들이 자꾸 이제 나타난단 말이에요. 그런 인연이 자꾸 생겨.
You will not be born in an area where there is no Buddhist teachings.
그러니까 내가 땅바닥에도 막 퍼질러 놓지 말라는 거예요, 이게.
And even if you want to study,
이 경을 받을 수 있는 복이 사라져
then
버리지.
you will often find yourself
땅바닥에도 놓지 마.
facing books and also teachers who can teach you how to study, or the Buddhist teachings will appear in front of you. That's why I tell you, do not throw the book away on the ground, on the floor. Your locks will disappear.
법을 무시하기 때문에 그 과보가
Don't put in the
법을
ground.
무시하면 그 과보가 자기한테 올 때 어떻게 오느냐면 이 바른 방법들이 앞에
So in Hazad, when they do the donation of the book, they put it on the head, but it seems like they don't tell them why they put it on the head. That is your way of telling them to respect the book or the teachings. If you keep neglecting the teachings, then the karma will come to
다리
you.
아프세요? 다리 쭉 뻗고 앉으세요. 괜찮아요.
The
쭉 뻗고
karma
앉으세요.
will come to you in a way that the Buddhist teachings will not appear in front of you, but you will be getting far away from it. Does your back hurt?
하도 많이 자주 잘
Does your back
걸어다니는
hurt?
사람들은 잘 안 앉아본 사람들은 다리가 아파.
If you sit well, if you sit straight, then it won't hurt. Does your leg hurt? If your leg hurts, then just stretch it out. It's fine, just stretch it out.
그래서 이제 우리가
Those
이번에
people who walk around a lot,
느낀 게 아주 큰 걸 두
or
가지를 느꼈어.
those people who does not sit like us for long, then their legs hurt a lot. If they sit for 5 minutes, then it hurts them just way too much.
내충 스님 절에 그 스님이 한 분 젊은 스님이 한 분 계신데 차를 항상 어떻게 빨리 모는지 내가 멀미가 나가지고 그 다람살에서 내려올 때 그냥 꼬르는데 그냥 휙 내려와서 야, 좀 천천히
I felt two big things this
그러면
time.
빨리 가버려. 그래서 그 빨리 갈 필요가 뭐 있냐 그러네. 그래서 그
After the teaching,
그런 스님이고 그 절에서 소임을 보는
there was a monk who dropped the
있는 스님이라도
SPT from Nechung Monastery. He dropped so fast that I felt nauseous. If you come down from Dharamshala, then there are so many curves down the road. I told him to go slow, but he went so fast. So I asked him, what's the use, or why do you drive so fast? His job is to drive in Nechung. But I felt that he was like 20 times better than me. Because I went to Spiti, but Spiti was his hometown. That was his hometown. But Nechung asked him to drive me, so because of me, he could go to Spiti, his hometown, and he was so happy. His mouth was up on his ears. When I arrived at Spiti, I realized that it was worse than I expected. The Spiti was about like 3,000 meters above sea level, and the land was very harsh. Do you know where we stand, this 석천사 here? If someone asks you where is 석천사, what meters above sea level, will you say about like 200? The sea was down. Just like Spiti, just like 석천사, no one knew was Spiti.
달라이라마께서 뭐라 그러냐면 당신은 내가 나올 때
So I asked,
공항에서 또 뵀거든. 당신은 피곤하면
the monks there, they were like, oh, you should be somewhere around 2,000 meters above sea level. Even Nechungla said it shouldn't be that high.
우리는 그것을 고산병이 걸리면 내려와야 되잖아.
They only say that because they're
그러니까
on the
이게
top of the
완전히
mountain.
태생이 다르니까 그래.
Dalai Lama
그래서
said,
그 스님이 이제 아주 뭐그
met him at Dharamshala airport when I was coming out.
조금 험하지만 조금 험한 게 아니에요.
Dalai Lama said when he feels tired, he goes to Ladakh to rest. He goes around like 3,500 meters above sea level to rest.
그런 것인데
When we feel tired, we come down, right?
그 다람살라에서
That's-
마날리까지 뭐 열 몇 시간 저 그어서 또 마날리에서
But the monks there, they said like it's not really high, and the road is not that bad. It's just a little bad, but it's not just a little bad.
그어서 또 12시간, 13시간 정도
It's cliff down the road, so if your toe feel
아니고
little weird,
뭘 말을 할 수가 없어. 길도 아니고 아마 세계에서 제일 나쁜 길이야. 길 있는 건 내가 몽고에 가보니까
from Dharamshala to Manali, it was about like 10 hours, and then
몽고는
we
길이
went.
없어요. 길 없이 그냥 아무데나
We
달리는
went
길이야.
we went and the road was like the road that divides between Ladakh and Spiti. We went again.
그 가다가 차 바퀴가 이쪽으로 가면 이쪽으로 가고 저쪽으로 가면 저쪽으로 가고
I felt like it was not a car that was driving.
산꼭대기 올라가 버리거든요.
The road was so bad. When I was in Mongolia last time,
거기보다 길이 뭐
there's just no road. There's no road in Mongolia.
지구상에서 가장 길이 안
You just
좋은
run
곳인데
and that
거기 이제
becomes your road.
갔는데 그 스님이 이제 나를 실어다 주고 내 중스님이
Just have to follow where the car goes.
있는데
If the car goes here, go here. If the car goes the other way, just go there.
다람살라를 도로 가버렸더라고. 다람살에서 내가 다람 스피티에서 나가지고 다람살라로 이제
The road to Spiti was 100 times worse than the road in Mongolia. Maybe it's the worst in the world.
있기로 했잖아요. 그랬더니 엄마가 빨리 가라 그랬대.
So he dropped me at Spiti and he waited until Nechungla came to
자기는
Spiti.
좋아가지고 입이 이만큼 이거
But
떨어가지고
later when I checked, he went back to Dharamshala.
갔는데 아니 하루 종일 자고 가려니까
So when I arrived at Dharamshala,
그 어머니가 절에 가지 왜 여기서 자냐고 잡니까 그래서 아이고 뭐 어머님 여기서 하루 종일 절에 얼른 가라고.
when I arrived at Dharamshala, I met him. So he came to pick me up. So I asked him, "Oh, aren't you supposed to be in Spiti until Nechungla comes?" And he answered, "My mom told me to go back sooner." I arrived. You were so happy back then. Why didn't you stay there? And he was like, "My mom, I wanted to sleep there overnight, but mom said your home is temple, monastery. Why don't you go back? You should go back." So he went back.
아 그냥 보니까 그 전에 말이야 운전하면서 좀 과격하게 운전하고.
And so he spent about 4 days in temple in Spiti, and so he just came back to Nepal, to Nechung.
그래서 과격하게 운전하고 좀 터프하고 거칠고.
And so I asked him when he was driving me down the airport, "Don't you feel a little upset that what your mom didn't allow you to stay at home?" And he said, "My mom was very wise."
집에 와서 하루 저녁도 못 자게 못 자. 우리 같으면 아이고 내 귀한 자식 머리 깎고 오니까 머리 기르고 나하고 같이 살자 뭐 장가를 가서 뭐 애가 뭐 어쩌고 저쩌고.
He was a little harsh in driving.
지랄이란 말은 내가 일부러
Switch off your
붙였어.
phone.
그게 지랄이기 때문에.
He drove very
무슨 뭐그
aggressively, I thought.
안 가면 마치 무슨
But his mom,
뭐나 그냥 사단이 나는 것처럼 내가 보니까 저거들도 시집장가 가서 별 볼 일도 없었네.
his mom didn't allow him to sleep even one day at his place. But it was our kids. Then we would be like, "Oh, stay with us and
하이 좋으시다고.
stay with us and my son not getting married, blah blah blah." Say,
그래가지고 보니까 얼굴이 상당히 평온해가지고
we do this kind of things.
속가에는 이제 가야 될 일이 다 사라져버린 듯한 느낌을 내가 받았어. 그래서 내가 어깨를 이렇게 들어주면 대단히
If you don't get married, as if something bad happens,
어머님 생각이 너무
as if
좋으시고
that's
가서
a
맛있는
big
거
deal.
해주더냐 그게.
From my opinion, it seems like there's not much difference even if you get married. I thought whatever his parents at the time, I felt whatever his mom felt at the time was, I feel she was very wise.
공부시켜서 점수 많이 받아서 서울대학 보내서 좋은 뭐 금판사 만들어서 뭐 어쩌고 저쩌고.
I felt as if there was no reason for him to go back to his home. I thought that was a good study.
검사 그 검자가
I felt his mom was very wise. So I asked him, did your mom give you nice food to eat? And he said, I just had a meal at his home. You guys didn't think a lot about making your kids to a monk or not, right? You felt like give them good education, send them to start university, and if they become prosecutors and all. But there's not much prosecutor that come there. The word come stands for knife. So it's almost like you dig into other people's life and you cut your head.
돈을 네가 벌어라. 그래야 먹고 살고 돈을 많이 벌어라. 직장에 올라가라. 그것까지 빌로 여기까지 쫓아다니잖아.
So the Tibet in the North India, a lot of good monks come there, or a lot of good monks are made there because their parents are also very wise. They know the value of studying or teaching or practicing asceticism. For us, it's more like you should go to a good company, you should earn a lot of money, get promotion, and even for that, we run here and there. So their values about happiness is not on earning a lot of money and live happily ever, but they lie somewhere else, and I felt your parents are very wise. Even the monk who drove recklessly around felt his mom was very wise. So you know that they have studied well. He became a monk when he was a baby or when he was a child. He went back to his hometown after so many years, and he does not feel bad about what his mother said. That's a precious value. Especially in Korea, if you send your daughters to become a nun, then the daughters, they usually run away. Because the parents, they usually hold them by a hair and drag them. So I always say, just hold their hair first so that they cannot hold them by the hair. But they find them in some way and they cry in front of the temple and they drag them around here and there and they threaten to commit suicide. That is value of their life very earthly. That's why the monks and nuns here, they cannot really study well. So I hope even in Korea, that's because Buddhists here, they go around praying for happiness, because that is even for your own greed. Your act of praying for your kids' happiness is also a way of making your greed. So I had a lot of episodes this time. So there was a good balance between our life and also a life after they became monk. So I had second opinion on that monk. So when I looked at him again, I felt it was not a reckless driver or aggressive driver, but I felt he was very matured. I felt he was a good person.
존자님께서 CT에서 그 법문들이
It was
국민과학과
good to
들러 오신
look at.
분들이 에 관한 얘기를 갖다 잠깐 언급인데 그
Another
스피티라는
one,
계곡이
when I
가서
went to
보니까
Spiti,
그 계곡이 주변이 전부 다 아마 낮은 산이 한 5천 곳이 되는 것 같아. 5천. 우리나라 백두산은 뒷동산이야.
when I look at the
2,700
Spiti
정도 되니까
Valley,
뒷동산이고, 한라산은 앞동산이고 뭐.
the
그다음에 무슨 뭐
the low mountain
지리산은
seemed like it was
동네 정도
5,000 meters above sea
동네 뭔지
level.
아시죠?
Our Practice-Jinok is
동네.
almost like
예?
mountain at the back, and Halasan felt like a small slope.
그 위에
And even
어떤
Jirisan
옛날에
felt
어떤
like
사람
our
묘
neighborhood.
묘
You know
하나
what is a
있고
neighborhood, right?
동그랗게 집 뒤에 있는 거 동네 정도밖에 안 돼. 그 막 산이 그냥
A little very tiny slope in front of our home,
계속 가는데
like
그
they used to
산밖에
make
없어.
like a grave.
계곡에 그 물이 계속 그
In olden
얼음
times.
그눈 녹은 물이
The mountains there were usually like 5,000 and 7,000 meters above sea level.
해가지고 습기가 계속 녹으면서 내려가니까 이게 파이잖아요. 파여서 깊이가 계속
And the water
깊이
kept
들어가는
flowing
그런
down.
곳이라 그런 곳인데 거기에
The
그
snow-
햇볕 사이에 요만한 틈저기가 조금 모래 옛날에 그
And
흙이
also,
딸려 내려가다가 요만큼 틈저기 있으면
Since
거기
calcium
마을에
carbonate
두세-
keeps melting
두세
down,
채 살고
they somewhat
제일 많은 집이
dug
아마
hole in
보니까
the
지나가면서
ground
보니까 한 10채나
in the
10개
in the
있는
cave.
집이고
Spiti is such a
따보라는
place.
마을에는 보니까 한 집이 한 뭐 30채 정도. 그렇게
In areas where they built a small slope,
벌써 눈 와가지고
there were like
버리기
2 to 3
시작해.
houses there,
뭐 수도 파이프가 수도도 없고
and
이제 그
in
위에서
the village
내려오는
called
물 파이프
Tabu,
이게
there were about like 30
한겨울에
houses.
영하 30도 이렇게 내려가니까 다 얼어버리고 뭐 물을 흘려놔도 다 얼어버린대.
In October, it's already snowing and it starts freezing.
그 하여튼 10월 달부터는 계속
even the
옷을
water
안 벗고
pipe that
추우면
comes
하나 더
down,
있고 하나 더 있고.
They all
그러니까,
freeze because in winter it's
11월,
almost like
11월,
minus 30 degrees Celsius.
1, 2,
So even if you
3, 4,
open the
5월
tap,
달까지
it
한
freezes.
7개월을 갖다가 옷을 깨입고
So from October,
깨입고,
if you feel cold, then you wear one more, one more, one more.
그래.
So October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, for 7 months, they wear again and again.
물도요. 완전히 그 손을 씻으니까 손이 그냥 그
And later,
얼얼하고 그런데
and also those people who complain that they don't wash their hair are the bad ones. How can they wash their hair? Even in summer, the water is very icy cold. It's ice cold. Like even if you wash your hand in summer, you feel really cold.
그렇게 된 곳이라 그래서
So one lady was washing her hair, and she was washing her hair in that
감자가 요만큼씩 나는 거예요.
freezing coldness.
그다음에 키가 짤막한 그 보리 짬바 해먹는 보리.
She was shampooing, but
그 스피티라는 곳은
like
그
really
사과나무가 사과가 좀 있고 그 가서 그 살구 좀 얻어버렸더니 살구처럼 지나버렸고.
their source was living cottages. And also Bali, which they used to make
소를 못
sampa.
잡아먹으니까 소고기가 없어.
In Spiti, there are some apple trees.
이제 먹는데
I wanted to get some
전 세계에서 최고급 품은 그게
apricot,
뭐냐면
but apricot was already out of season.
요구르트 만든 거.
And also in India, you
그거는
cannot
아마 그게 그대로
kill
우리나라
cows, so there's no
공급이
beef.
된다 그러면
But you can drink
정말
milk.
그 정말 좋은 음식을 갖다 먹는 게 그거 하나
But the
이게
best item in
그게
the whole
나머지
world
하나
there
그 캬베스를
was
어디서
the milk
심었는데
and the yogurt made out of the milk.
이게 그냥 캬베스
If you
이게
can
그냥
import that
마실마실해가지고
directly,
이렇게 덮여 있어. 불쌍해서 못 먹겠어.
then it will be a really good diet.
그냥 먹을 거 없어. 그 사람들이 못 먹고 춥고 그렇게
Somewhere they planted some cabbage,
전기가 나가버리면 한 이틀씩 겨울에는 이틀씩 사흘씩 나가버린대.
but it was just like few layers, and you couldn't eat that because you were pity looking at it. So there are not a lot of things to eat, and it's cold because there's no heating system. And also, when the electricity goes out, then they goes out for 2 to 3 days, and normally in a day, the electricity is out for half a day. There are fridges there, but what's the use of fridge if there's no electricity? So even if you put kimchi in there, then the kimchi goes bad.
절이 10몇 개가 되고 스님들 하나 500명 정도 이제 절마다 이제 한 40명, 뭐 30명 그렇게 이제 사는데 그냥 그렇게 된답니다.
Through the White Valley, people live, and there are about 15,000 people living there, and there are 5,000 monks.
3,300, 3,200,
Each monastery, there are like 30 to 40 people living there.
있었던 데는 뭐 3,000, 한 3, 400, 4, 500 이렇게 되는 데인데 그러니까
The reason why I'm telling you this,
공기는 산소는 약하지. 건조하지.
because it's above 3,200 meters above sea level.
통합해서
In the areas where there are
우리 간날 비가
caves to study, there are about 3,500 meters above sea level. There are not much oxygen because it's too high, and also it's very dry. In an year, there's hardly 100 milliliter perspiration rate.
그냥 그 여우 눈물처럼 조금 오더만. 그래. 그래서 이제 그렇게 어려운 곳에 또
Once it rained,
산단 말이야. 이게 그 계곡
and
자체가
one of the monks said, rainy day is very lucky day. It's a very good day. It's a good sign. But the rain was almost like a tear.
제피면 다 죽으니까.
But despite all that harsh natural environment, there are people living there.
맞아 죽기는 싫다 하고 도망간 사람들이나
First, when people moved there to live, it seems like they didn't go there to live. It seems like there was a war, and if they get caught, then they get killed. So it was better than to run away and go and live there instead of being caught and killed. It's not a place to live. The reason why I'm telling you this,
제발 불만 갖지 말라고. 제발.
Korea in compared to SPT, you don't have to argue about anything else, but it's a paradise. So stop having complaints, please. Oh, because my house is so small, I cannot live. Due to this, I cannot live. And my kid doesn't study, so I cannot live. Do not say something so useless, please. So I wanted to make a research center there. I want to put kids. I want to put those with complaints over there for a month. Then they will have no complaints, or else I will put in Ladakh.
이제 바깥에서 들어간 스님들은 따보절이라 그런 데 들어가서 뭐 가르치기 위해서 들어간 스님들은 너무 추우니까 나온대. 못 견디고 10월 달 정도 되면 다 나온대.
Despite all of that, people study a lot, they practice a lot.
여기 출신 스님들은
Those who went in there in order to teach, they usually come out because it's too cold. They are usually out of SPT in October.
겨울에 뭐 할 것도 없잖아, 그죠? 할 것이 없어.
But monks there, they just stay inside blanket and pray the whole time. There's nothing to do in winter. They eat, they go to the bathroom, and they pray. Because of water, they don't even wash their faces, right? There's no better where, there's no better place to study. If you have so much greed, then you cannot live in a place like that. Under the condition, they study hard. But we don't know how happy or how lucky we are in Korea. You hardly study and you have too much greed. You only know about yourself. Even the body and the mind is too weak.
우리보다 행복 지수가 마음에 느끼는 행복 지수가 훨씬 더 높고 얼굴이 편안하고 평온하고 그렇게 사시는구나.
I felt their happiness was bigger than ours because they could live in that harsh or
아주
poor condition
스님들이
without much
친절하고
greed. That's why their
공부
face
열심히
had so much
하고
tranquility.
연불 열심히 하고 그 보니까 하루 두 끼
That's what
정도밖에
I
안
felt
드신다.
when I was there.
추운 데니까 아침
The monks are very
8시니까 걷는
kind.
시간이라.
They studied hard.
오후에 한 끼 잡수시고 이제 그렇게 많은
They prayed hard.
보니까.
And they seem to be eating only 2 meals a day.
그래서 아주
Since it's a cold place, 8 o'clock in the morning is a breakfast time, and they eat in the afternoon, and that's all.
도둑질을 하거나 그 없는 가운데 도둑질을 하기가 쉽고 남을 해하면서 자기가 살려고 하는 것들도 쉬울 텐데 그런 거 하나 없이
Despite all that
평온하게.
condition, it was not chaotic
그러니까 그
and
도둑질을 하고 어디로 도망가? 차 가지고 있는 사람들도 내가 볼 때는
such
도망을
chaotic,
가려면
such
차가
place
시속
could
10km도 안
cause a lot of
가는데
chaos. Like you can steal a lot, but
도망갈 데도
it seemed
없어.
like
그러니까
none of
그렇게
them was
못하겠지만도.
happening.
그러나 정진들을 갖다 다 열심히 하시니까
And also, even if you
욕심을
rob,
줄이고서
where can you run
그렇게
away?
제발 우리는 좀 덜 헐떡거렸으면 좋겠어. 아까
But since
이런
they
이제 공부를
practice
계속
asceticism well,
하면서,
they live without
계속
greed.
헐떡거리지 않고 잘
I hope
살아줬으면
we
좋겠다.
stop
그런 생각. 한국에
striving
지금 아주
for
병
too
가운데
much.
그 아주 진짜 사카리도 안
If we
들어간
keep
개떡
studying,
같은 병이 걸린 것이
then
삐끗하면 깨달았다고
maybe-
부처됐다고 하는 사람들이
maybe we
딱
can expect less
연수에다
and live
그런
better.
놈이 한 놈이 있다네. 그래서 삐끗하면 깨달았다고 얘기하고
There are a lot of people who said, "Oh, I got enlightenment and I
깨달았다 그러는데
know about Buddhism." Even there's even one person in Yasu. They claim to have achieved enlightenment. They would go to hell.
왜 그런 착각을 하냐면
If you become a Buddha, we call that enlightenment.
부처님 가르치는 내용을 아무것도 모르니까 그런 무지한
Think
소리를
about
하고
it. Are you standing on the same line with Buddha? Why am I saying this? You don't know these kind of contents, the teachings of Buddha.
이번에 이제 그래서 올라가서
You say
그
those
토굴이 참
negligent
좋아서
things
내가
can
빠르던
cause
토굴이에요.
problems.
너무 좋았어. 왜냐하면
So
굴을 이렇게 뚫어 들어가지고 굴법 땅이야. 그 따보절 주의스님이
this time when I went there, the cave was so good. It was something I wanted.
작년에 내가 잠깐 뵀던 분인데 팔순에 돌아가셨어요. 근데 그 총무스님이 그
The cave there, the administrator monk,
한뭐 3천 한
the chief monk passed away. He passed away at the age of 80. So the administrator monk
안에다가 이제
inside the cave temple,
쳐가지고 발라서 거기다가
which was above like 3,400 meters above sea level,
벽화가
they dug a cave and they
그
put
전부 다
mud
그 돌가루 석채만 가지고
and
그린 거라
clean.
아주 좋아. 그래서 그 위에
and they drew a painting on the wall. The wall painting was really good.
계시고 옆에 보살
It was only drawn using stone powders,
그 열쇠를 나를 줬단 말이야.
and there was Buddha.
그거는 딱 굴 속에 딱 들어가면 소리가 뭐 새소리 하나도 안 들려. 빛도 차단이 되고 삼매 수행하기
Gave me the
그럴 수
key.
없이 좋아. 더 이상 뭐 좋은 데가 사실 없이.
If you go into the cave, then you don't even hear the sound of bird chirping.
바드마 삼바바라든지 이런 큰 성취자들이
It was the best
이런
place.
데서
There can be no other better place than this.
들어서 무척 이제 좋았었는데, 근데 내가 이제 그 참 인연이 허약해. 그 고산
I felt Milarepa or Padmasambhava, those
머리
people
아픈
who
거 이제
got
혈압
enlightenment
또
there,
무슨 이런
enlightenment were
문제들이
almost like
생기면서
they should have started in
좀
such a place.
가라앉을 줄 알았더니 안 가라앉았어. 그래서 어쩔 수 없이 내려왔단 말이야. 그래서 그런 것이 한 2,400.
All the disease that comes from the height, the headaches and all.
왜안 습기가 있어서.
I thought they would get better, but they didn't. So I had to come back.
그 한계선을 넘어서서 나무고 뭐고 아무것도 없는 데라야
But I thought maybe it was like
안에
maybe
굴
if they
뚫고도
can build
물이 안 나오지.
a cave like that in
안에 습도가
2,400,
없지.
But you cannot really do that in 2,400 meters above sea level because of humidity.
벽화를 그려놨는데 모셔놨는데
It has to go beyond 3,000, then there will be no humidity, and you can have a cave like that.
훼손이 되고 그럴 거 아니에요? 그런 게 한 개도 없어. 그런 거 보니까 그게 비가 거의 땅 속으로 젖어다 들어갈 정도로 비가 안 온다는 뜻이고 좌우에
If it's like us, then during monsoon, if due to humidity, if we had drawn the same painting on the wall, it would have gotten already destroyed. But over there, it doesn't.
우리가 지금 뭐 이런 데 집을 지어가지고 아무리
And even the water that melted from the Himalaya mountain does not go to that way. So
들리고 그 조용하지 않거든. 그 인도에서
So like us, even if we go to the thickest forest and build a house, there are always birds chirping and there are always animals moving around, so it can never really get so silent. But there it was different. And also in Dharamshala, when I tried, I couldn't do it because of animals. In Dharamshala, behind Ring Rinpoche's house, I studied in a cave temple there, but
나무에서 내려와가지고 저도 출근할 때 또 우두두두고 지나가고 퇴근할 때 또 쭉 지나가고
it was a way for mongols to move around.
그거 통로야 또 원수이가 또 지나가다가 그 양철
When they were going to work, like they were moving around, and then when they were coming back, they used to do the same. They used to march. And also monkeys. Because the steel roof is warm at the time of sunset, they sit there and they chat. And on field days, there are crows, Indian crows. They don't move alone. They don't move in solitary. They always move in groups, and they're so noisy. They do not say ka ka like us, but they do gag. There in Spiti, you cannot see even crows. I saw only one type of a bird, a very tiny one. So you cannot hear birds chirping, and also you do not hear the sound of animals there. So it was the best place to practice Samatha. But maybe I am not that lucky enough. Maybe this life I will try to practice more virtues, and next life I somewhat made a wish to spend my next life there by practicing more virtues this life. If you do not devote yourself on emptying yourself from greed, then the happiness that you gain are only momentary or temporary lies. So you should not be lazy from emptying yourself from greed. Do not just only listen to the teachings, but also meditation, praying, donations. Do not miss any of them, but keep doing them, even now. I didn't actually want to talk about it because it's so petty. But some people go to temple because they pray for you for a long time. Those of you who wants to do that, you can go there. But Sakchonsa here, we will not miss out any studies. Sakchonsa, we will focus on teachings and also studying. All of you got mails, right, about their clothes. When we first went from here, we expected about like 2,100 people, right, from 24 temples. But when we arrived there, there were about 1,100 people more. I asked them why sudden increase. You know this kind of red shawl that they usually wear.
어쨌든 간에 뭐
They thought we were giving them only one.
3,200명이
I already have it, so I don't want extra. So maybe they didn't put it on the list. But when we told them that it is a whole set of clothing, people listed more. So from 2,100 people, it became 3,200.
그러니까 그 어딘데요? 그랬더니 모여서 한 3시간 반 정도, 다른 사람 3시간 반 된 절인데 거기에 좀
And one nun came and looked like she had looked like a Hyungong nun, very sad. And she came in like, are you not doing it for us? We came around like we are coming from 3 hours apart. So I asked them, oh, of course we will. How many? And they were like 270. So I emptied all the buckets and did it 2, 3, 4, and when we added everyone, it was like 3,200.
돼서 팽곳에 모아서 이제 그렇게 해서 그거 합해니까 다 되고 이제 이게 좋다고 해야 될지 안 좋다고 해야 될지 그거는 한쪽에서는 좋고 한쪽에서는 안 좋았으니까.
And also people who are already in Dharamshala and they know that we are putting up money or making donations for clothes, they also added up and it was about $7,000.
사실은 한 1,300원 꼴이에요. 1,300원이 훨씬 넘는 꼴이 됩니다.
And also currency. Here the dollar decreased, right? But in India the dollar's rate became better. So although we buy from like $1,000 here, about $1,200 here, if we sell it there, then it was around 1,300. It's almost like that. Usually it is about like $44 to $45, 45 rupees per dollar, but it became 60 rupees per dollar.
똥똥 다 틀고 나니까 툴툴 먼지까지 다 틀고 나니까 탁탁 다 틀어져.
So
그래서 아이고 참 희한하게 딱 맞다.
So due to currency exchange rate, we could save a lot of money. And when I just emptied everything, even my dust, I could just fix the amount. So I thought strangely everything is perfect, just like a wheel.
보니까 그 참으로
So I could do it for everyone, or 3,200 people. I came, okay?
거기에 보니까 참 축작합작이라 그래. 대나무를 반 딱 쪼갰다 딱 붙이면 딱 맞아.
When I look at it again, the very strange thing is,
그게 맞았어.
it is not something that can be done just because I want. But this is just perfect. Like if you cut a bamboo into half and if you put it, then they just stay together. It's just perfect. So with a $50, there's no one who had to sell the house because of $50, right?
고기라도 좀 구워 먹으려 그러면 세 식구 네 식구가 5만 원 가지고 안 되지요. 그리고 100구리 큰 놈 데리고 갔다가
maybe or say it's not even amount that's enough to go out for dinner for 3 people. If you want to go barbecue, you cannot have $50 barbecue for 3 people, right?
생각해보세요. 옷을 한 벌 이렇게 봤는데 우리는 지금 옷 한 벌 이렇게 다 하려면 100만 원, 100몇십만 원.
Our fare was somewhat good because those people who are donating is not a big burden for them, but for those who receive, it's a big thing. If you want to make a clothes for us, like for example, it's more than $1,000, but for them it's not that costly, so it's good for them, and also it's good for us without so much burden. And if it's something that is not very helpful to them, then maybe it was not really very good. Even the nuns there, even if they live in a very modest life, their clothes, they were very worn out. I was happy that we could do that. And also, I don't know whether it was a good thing or not, but the currency even dropped at the time, and so it was also very beneficial for us. So everything currency, our wishes, and also them. Everything went just perfectly. Everything was in harmony.
그런다니까. 그 스피티 계곡 그래서 스피티 계곡에 절이 몇 개가 되니까 한 10개 되는데 스님이 몇 번이 되니까 대충 잡아서
When I went there, they double the administrator monk. From his looks, I felt like, oh, it's also cold for us.
가졌으면 좋겠다. 왜냐 하도 추우니까. 그래서
There are about like 10 temples there, so I asked him about approximately how many monks, and he said about 500.
해드렸으면 좋겠다 이제.
I had a wish that I wanted to buy dog feather paddings for them, but
뭐고 다 해줄 수 있겠다 싶습니다.
I have a wish that like if we can, then maybe we could buy them a padding jumper, a thick padding jumper. The money will be around $25,000. I think that should be enough. If you have money, then even one person can do it. I will just send them the amount. This is my reporting to you. Next year, it is sometime in October or November. The date is not yet fixed. Later, next month, in the first week, I will give you a little speech on the translation of Tibetan scripture. It's not yet concrete, but it seems like in the Kook University Research Center, I will be heading the translation of the Tibetan scripture. Once everything gets concrete, I'll let you know. So all my reporting is also done today. It's the last prayer day for the 김가영.
뭐 선물은 아무것도 갖고 온 거 없어. 다 그어서 다 틀어버리고.
So those of you who is time, I'll be happy if you can stay for a little prayer. I don't have any gift for you. I gave them everything.
감사합니다.
It was fortunate that I could just come up with my body. I gave them everything. I don't have any gifts. Thank you, everyone.